Start the recording. Okay, welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will be to focus on the functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing uploaded images, printing out class sheets for other teachers or volunteers to review and correct. We'll be going over strategies for detecting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and using the flow function to create portrait pages. This webinar will be approximately 20 to 30 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we jump into the photos area, just one thing we'll touch about class photos being sent in to us. So right now, a lot of schools have either already had or in the next few weeks they'll be having picture days where they're getting their student pictures taken, and some of you may have already had those photos come back to you. So when those are coming back to you, so if you're getting class photos by a link, like a link from your photographer, this has been more and more the growing trend. We're seeing less and less CDs, but there's some still that they get a CD from their photographer. But if you're given a link from your photographer, what you'll want to do with that is go ahead and forward that link to your sales rep, and you'll want to specify how you want those photos sorted. So it's either by grade level, and that's everybody in one class or grade is all in one folder, or there is by teacher homeroom, and this is more broken down by individual class. So now once we get that seat or get that link, our pre-flight team downloads that and preps them for upload. Same now, if you still get the CD. What you'll want to do is, because the growing trend has gone to photo links, we haven't been putting photo envelopes or the CD envelopes in the kits this year. So if you do get a CD, make sure that you contact your sales rep for one of those portrait envelopes with a form. And on one side of it, there's a portrait form that will go, ask you how you want those, sorted by grade. Again, that's everybody together, or by teacher homeroom, which is more broken down by class. Now, once we have received your class photo CD, whether that's, we still call the link the photo CD, but once we've gotten your link or CD, once they're received, we'll have those uploaded within 3 to 5 business days. So once those come in, once we have them uploaded, now I'm going to jump under Create, and I'm going to go to Image Library. So a lot of times, each time you first get in here for like a session, each time you log in, you'll always come across this little welcome message. It's just talking about the folder states that are there. You can go ahead and click OK on this message. And when your photos are uploaded, you're going to find those, if I come over here to the left, amongst the categories. If we'll click on the arrow next to portrait, this is where your class photos will be under. Once we upload them, they will show up under here under folders. They'll either be kind of by number, if you've been by grade level, like 01, first grade, 02, second grade. If it's more broken down, if your photographer set it up by teacher, you'll then most likely see the teachers' names that are here. Now, when you first get, or once your photos are first uploaded, very important to go through your class photos, checking for, a few things, make sure, are all the students uploaded, are names correct? And a lot of this checking will need to be done, or you'll want to do this before you put those children on a page, before you get them on the class page. So once your class photos are uploaded, what you'll want to do, if you just click on a class, it'll then preview off to the right here, and you can see all the kiddos that are there. Now, one thing you can do, like I said, what one thing or ways that will help you kind of making sure that you have everybody and names. If you have staff volunteer or, kind of some yearbook staff that can help. Or another good use is to kind of bring the teachers in that kind of help with this next step, but it's printing class sheets. So it's just an easy way. What you'll do to get a class sheet going, you'll just select one of the folders of your classes and then come up above and click on the preview button. All right, when you click on the preview button, what this is going to do, I'm going to open this up. It's going to brought over a PDF in another program I have here. So it's just going to give you basically a composite proof of your class photos. You can then download this and send it. Once it's downloaded, you can send this digitally over to the teachers and they can print it out, or you can go ahead and print it out for them. So a lot of people or advisors will use these, hand them out to the teachers. They'll then mark them out, put X's through, this isn't my student, or maybe they'll put a little note, or that needs to go to another teacher's class or grade level, either mark out or mark corrections. And that way, once you get these back, you'll then have that info to then kind of make the necessary steps going forward. But again, just to print a class sheet, all you have to do is select the class and then come up here and hit the preview button. Now, once you get those class sheets back, then we can start looking at stuff like how to organize your images, how to correct names. So definitely get those printed out, have the teachers help, or, gather as much help as you can in doing that, if possible. So when we get those back, there are multiple different ways on how we can change names. The easiest, you can fix names here, but there's also another spot in the program where it might be just a little bit easier to fix those names. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to go up under Create, and then I'm going to go to Coverage Report. Now, when we upload your class photos using the photographer's index, that also creates the name list under the coverage report here. It's real easy to come through here. If you have those class lists back, has the teacher's corrections on them, if it's name changes, it is really easy to come through here and start fixing names. All you have to do is, just click inside one, put a cursor in, backspace out, and let's say this was Alexandra, but maybe it was Alexandria. Maybe it's just a little off there. So it's real easy to fix those names. Now, any changes to a name here also changes on the name tag that is in the image library. So let's see, there was one, I think it was Mary Abney. Maybe I'm gonna name her Marley Abney. That way we can kind of see when we go back there. So really easy to come through here. If you need to add a name, you can click add a name. If there was a student that maybe missed picture day, but you need to get their name in the program to put with a no photo image or something like that. If you need to later down the road, after you start using these or you have these, there should be a little X here to where you can then remove the name. I think you can also, okay, once you get things going, you can delete people in that. But really easy, the coverage report, really the best spot to kind of make those quick name changes. And like I said, anytime you change a name here, it also changes over in the the image library. Now this is going to be another easy tool to kind of use if you have duplicates, because coming down the list you'll see them side by side, and then you can easily kind of use the merge button to merge that up and say, yeah, these two people are the same, or you can remove the duplicate entry altogether. So I just wanted to show this area out first. A lot of people kind of only see it as this is the spot that you come to see how many times someone was used in the book and if they're going by the fair play. But also want to just bring it to people's attention that this is another good spot to just quickly edit names. If you got those lists back and you want to go through them real quick, finding names, they're in here alphabetically. You find that name and change it to where the teacher has on that corrected sheet. But just wanted to show this out real quick. So now I'm going to head back actually to the image library. Okay, I'm going to go back to this student right here because this was the one where I had it changed. So it was Mary Abney. I changed it to Marley Abney in the cover report, and we can see that change did take place here. So now that we're back in the image library, so how would you make that same change to a name here? You can still do that here. It's still kind of easier to do here. What you'll do is just double click on the student. Now for some, the double clicking doesn't always pull up the preview window. So if double clicking on it doesn't bring it up, just hit the little blue information eye and that'll pull up this same window as well. We'll get the preview showing there. Now on the name tag, what we'll see here is just if we're just going to edit the name, we're going to come over here, we're going to click the little edit pencil. We'll get a name confirmation prompt here. So shall only be used to correct misspelled name. So we're going to continue. And I'm just going to change this back to Mary Abney. And save. And now we have the name fixed here. And then we can go on, if there's other photos, we can hit next and move on. So again, just another way of how you can edit student names here in the program. Now, if you have any students that are out of order, maybe they're not in the right class, maybe you need to move someone, maybe Mary Abney was actually a 4th grader instead of a 5th grader here. So if you have students that need to go to other classrooms, all you have to do is just drag and drop them over to the category that they need to be in. And we can see now that that student moved and they're ready then to flow in with that class. So again, if you need to edit a name, either double click on the photo or hit the little blue info eye and just make sure you click the pencil icon on the name tag. Move students around, it's just a matter of dragging and dropping them to the right class. Now another thing I'll show here is what to do if you do not have, or if you have a student that, let's say they missed picture day, but you still want to have the name, or maybe you want to have a placeholder for them when you're doing your class photos, or when you're building your pages. So when if you send in your class photos to us, normally when we upload your class photos, we also add in a set of no photo images that you could use to flow. So what you would do if you need to add one of these to a class and then add a name on it, you're just going to find the style that you like best, and you're going to drag and drop that over to the classroom that you need it to be in. And I'll go to that Drake folder there. Okay. Now, with the no photo images, adding a name to these is a little different. What you'll have to do, we'll go ahead and double click on it. Now on the no photo images, what you will need to do with these is, since all the no photo images, here I'm going to leave this just a second. Let me go back to no photo. So all of the no photo images have the same name tag on them. So if you just simply edit one, what it's going to do is it's going to see that, oh, it's editing this name. I'm going to change every other one with the same name to be that same thing, which is kind of something you don't want to happen there. So what we'll do, let me go back to our Drake folder, and I'm going to bring up our no photo image. Okay, so instead of editing this tag, because we want to add just a completely new name onto this photo, what we're going to do is we're going to actually remove the name tag, and then we're going to hit the add button. So why do we remove the tag? By removing the name tag on this specific no photo, it breaks the link between this one and all of the other ones. So that way, when I go to add a new name, when we add a new name and hit save, they'll then add his name to this one, and all the other no photos back in here still have the same name. All right, so that's just how you can get a no photo in there, and then also how to name that. All right, so okay, so what we'll do from here, let's say that we have our classes, everybody moved around, we have names corrected. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so after we had everything kind of moved in, names corrected, let's say we have some no photos, now it's time to kind of bring those kids onto a page. So we're going to go, I'm actually going to go under create, and I'm going to go to new page designer. And I'm going to go over to the next page here. Okay, so where we're going to go, so we're going to need to find a template to flow these students into. So our portrait templates, I'm going to go under designs here, and we're actually going to go under the portrait section here. And as we're looking through the categories that are here, we've got, they first are sorted by the size of the photo. So 4x6 being kind of a small photo box, all the way up to 16x17, which would be the largest photo boxes that are there. So they're sorted from smallest up to largest. But then they are recategorized again by the amount of photos. So 1 to 10, 10, 20, so on. Now, when looking for a template, what we normally suggest, and if you're looking for consistency, is finding or selecting a template that is based on your largest class size. And this is just going to ensure that you have enough spaces for all the class, and you have just a consistent photo size. So we'll go through here. Now, when you're building your pages, you may have or may find that, only one of your classes, will fit on one page, but maybe you're an advisor that is at a middle school, and you maybe have one class that goes across 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 pages. So the flow will, cover that. We just have to get a template onto those pages first. So when kind of looking through these, we can just drag and drop them onto a page, kind of see what fits here. Then we can pull another one over if it's, well, that one didn't match up there. Let's see, did this one match up? I think these two kind of match up together. Get a little bit different size box here. Let me drop these on here. This is one of our most popular styles here just because it has spots up at the top that you can drop the teacher in later. I'll drag one over to the other side too. Okay. So yeah, just for this example, just went ahead and tossed a portrait template onto the page. Now, when looking at a template or that, you'll kind of notice in the photo boxes, there's a couple of different symbols here. So on the flow part, or what's going to flow, has this little head and shoulder here. So that is just kind of let you know that this is a flow spot. Where regular drag and drop photo boxes, where you're just going to manually drag and drop the photo in, have a little landscape symbol in here. So if you come across and you have like a last year's template that you're about to flow, if you're not seeing, if you're wanting to use flow, make sure it has a flow element there in place. If not, you might just need to come back over to the Designs tab, find that kind of that base style that you used last year, and drag and drop it back onto the page. Okay, so now that we have our template, what we can do from here is go down to the flow tab right here. Now at the top of the flow tab does have just some individual add flow elements that are here. So you don't necessarily have to start with a template. Here, I'm just going to take one out here real quick. You can actually, just start with one of these and then use the flow options drop down. And then you can kind of adjust your portraits and, your rows, your columns. Here, let me move this out of the way here. But then you kind of work on the spacing and the height. But you can kind of keep playing around with it until you get the size that you need. There are some that are comfortable on setting up their own style and then going through and using that. But it's more a little bit on the advanced side on using one of those. So where in doubt, good pre-made template will always work as well. So moving past those, the first thing you'll do is under the category drop-down, you're just going to select the group that you want to flow. Now, actually, I want that Drake class here. Then after that, you're going to pick the name format, and this is how their names will appear on the page. So in the image library, they're always going to show last first, and that's just how the program is. It's always going to just display them that way. But once you get on the page, this is where you get to take those name tags, and maybe you want their names to come on first, last. Rarely do we see middle names in here, but if you did add in middle names, you have that option as well. We do have last first and last first middle. So I'm going to pick just first last. The flow tab is also going to tell you, how many images are in that folder, how many are flowed, and how many remaining. And then we get to the start and stop fields. So what this is basically it's start page and stop page. So you get to control the page or pages that your flow or your class is being flowed over. So in this case right now, I've got page 4 and 5. So I want to change my start page to 4. Now, if you were flowing just to one page, if you had maybe you had a group of 25, you could do your stop at 4 as well. That way they didn't continue on to the other side if you had extras. But ideally, you'll want to kind of open that up. Just make sure that if you have classes flowing across 2 pages, just make sure you have both both pages numbers here. Or let's say that you have a big middle school or high school class that will cover you know 6, 7, 8 pages possibly. You'll just want to make sure that stop page is on the last page that your group will be flowing to. Now, one thing I did kind of hear earlier was kind of change those flow options. If you make any changes kind of to the page, just make sure you hit save, and then it'll kind of update here to show that you're ready for flowing. So whenever your start and stop page check out, the available position spot will light up. So if anything is not reading correctly, so if you have either not enough available positions, or maybe you have the wrong start and stop on there, the available position spot will be in red. If everything is set up correctly, you're ready to go, it will just show up here in white. So once you have your category, your name, your start and stop, everything checks out, you'll then just come down here and click on flow. And it will then flow that class on into the template there. So as long as everything is really kind of set up smoothly, you've got a template, goes right in. Now, there might be some instances of where, let's say, either you catch a duplicate, or maybe you find a student that you missed. Maybe you found a misspelling that you didn't catch. It's all these other little possibilities, but time to time you will catch something, and maybe you need to start over or redo a flow. So what happens when you catch something, and let's say that you need to fix it, or correct a name, or get that student out to another class? The first thing you'll always do is you'll actually come back over to the flow tab, make sure you have that category selected, and you're going to come down and hit reset. And reset just pulls everybody back out. So once you have everybody pulled back out of the template, you're then good to go back into the image library and make those name edits, drag and drop student to the right class if they're needed, and then once you've made those changes, you're then good to come back and just reflow the class right back into the template again. So as far as kind of working with class photos, getting them prepared, and then how to actually flow into a template. Sometimes one thing I'll show you here real quick before I just kind of open this up. If you ever need to, let's say you've moved students around, you've reset, but let's say that you found yourself in a spot where you've added more students back that you had more spaces for. Each one of these things right here that has the student is called a flow panel. So if you need to add spots back before you flow the class in, all you'll do is double click on the flow panel that is there on the page. You're going to see it kind of dim out and just focus on the panel itself. So what you'll do is in these top upper corner of the photo boxes, you'll see a little eyeball icon. And it's the same on these ghosted ones too. All you have to do is click that little icon at the top to turn these spots back on. And then you'll have enough spots to flow the students back in. Another big kind of hint or tip before you flow students in is if you want to change the style of the font, the size, the color on this, you'll want to do that before you flow in. So you'll want to make sure you adjust your sizes. Um, how do you want these to look? Do you want them to have a fill? You want to change the color on those. Make all those changes that you want, um, before flowing in. And then just make sure you come up and hit save um, before you flow them back in. So just some little tips there I wanted to put out there. Um, so we have a few minutes. If you have any questions over the content that we have, I have a few minutes. I could go over those with you. If you want to put those questions into the chat log, I can then kind of quickly address those for everybody before we call it a day. Okay. Yes, we've been recording this. I just got a question about if this webinar is being recorded. Yes. Yep. We will get this recorded. We're recording it now. Look to have it posted next few days. Usually have everything kind of posted and a link sent out on Friday. So definitely by Friday, just look out for an email coming out that has a link back to the recording. All right. Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Looks like we don't have any real questions kind of going back over what we went over. So I think it's safe to say we'll go ahead and wrap things up. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. The demonstration of the functions related to the creation of portrait pages should eliminate some trial and error that can occur when working on a yearbook. Printing portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should result in better accuracy on some of your most important pages of the book. So feel free, join us in a couple of weeks as we go over the creation of activity and candid pages. If you ever need to reach out to us, we can be reached at 1-877-302-3140 or send us an email at memorybooktechsupport@jostens.com. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon.